See, I don't believe you. I think you allowed your political beliefs to cloud your judgment. And I think you said a few years ago what you said about Brett Kavanaugh, and I think you believe it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you could indulge me, I'd like a couple extra minutes too. It's okay.
Certainly.
Counselor, did you really say that Justice Kavanaugh was a morally bankrupt person?
Senator, as I explained, I did not write that letter. I did sign it.
Did you read it?
I read it quickly, yes.
And you
sir.
signed it?
Yes, sir.
Did you really say that Justice Kavanaugh, if he was confirmed, would cause people to die?
As I stated, Senator, I understood those statements were overheated rhetoric, but I understood them to be just
Yeah,
that,
but you said
rhetorical.
it. You said it, right?
I did sign the letter, yes, Senator.
Okay. Do you believe that Brett Kavanaugh is a morally bankrupt person?
Senator, sitting here as a judicial nominee, it is not appropriate for me to comment
Do you believe that?
personally on
Well, you
any
said it.
justice.
You said it. Do you believe that he's a morally bankrupt person?
Senator, it is not appropriate for me
Why
to
not?
comment.
You said it.
I understand.
Senator, I am giving you extra time, but can she be allowed to answer?
Sure. I just want an answer. I agree that she should answer. You're not going to answer my question?
I believe I've answered it to the best of my ability. Honestly, Senator, I respect completely the confirmation process and the authority of Justice Kavanaugh and every Supreme Court justice.
But do you, this is real simple. You said just a few years ago, you weren't in law school, you weren't in college. You said Brett Kavanaugh is a morally bankrupt person. It's clear as thunder on a summer night. Now, you're under oath. Do you believe he is or not? How hard is that? You'll have much harder questions as a federal judge if you can make it that far.
I appreciate the question, Senator. As I stated, those statements were rhetorical advocacy that I signed as an alum addressing my law school alma mater. I did not.
Well, let me ask you about this rhetorical advocacy. Does rhetorical advocacy mean you said something, but now that you've been nominated, you're scared that you can't get the votes, so you're going to try not to answer the question? Is that what rhetorical advocacy means? What is rhetorical advocacy? Is it a lie?
No, it's not a lie, Senator. I would say that it's statements that are made in service of an advocacy position.
Okay. And if you issue an opinion and you get reversed by the Supreme Court, are you just going to say, oh, don't worry about it, justices, that was just rhetorical advocacy? What is this?
Absolutely not, Senator. If the court issues an opinion as a lower court judge, I would be absolutely bound to follow it. It is not merely rhetorical advocacy. It is the law of the land.
Okay, let me try one more time. Do you believe that Brett Kavanaugh is a morally bankrupt person?
Senator,
Sitting here today, under oath.
Sitting here today, under oath, I can assure you that I respect completely the authority of Justice Kavanaugh as a duly confirmed Supreme Court Justice of the United States.
Yes, ma'am, but do you believe he's morally bankrupt?
Senator, as I stated, I respect his authority and the authority of every Supreme Court Justice sitting on our court.
Yes, ma'am, but do you believe he's morally bankrupt?
My personal opinion is not appropriate for me to say. I respect his authority as a Supreme Court
So
justice.
you think he
as I
is
do for
morally
it.
bankrupt?
I did not say that, Senator.
But you signed a letter saying he was morally bankrupt.
Several years ago, as an alum addressing my law school alma mater, I did sign a letter that I believed was addressed only to my law school administration.
Oh, you
But
didn't
sitting
think
here
it would be public?
I did not understand that it would be used as a public advocacy piece. No,
Okay.
I believed it was only addressed to my law school administration.
And you signed that because you wanted to show fidelity to your alma mater, Yale Law School?
I signed it, Senator, at the time because I felt that it was an appropriate statement to make to my law school administration, notwithstanding the overheated rhetoric. But sitting here today as a judicial nominee, what I want to assure you is that as an advocate, as a litigator, as a neutral adjudicator, and as a judge, if confirmed, I would absolutely respect the authority of every Supreme Court justice and all of its precedents without reservation.
See, I don't believe you. I think you allowed your political beliefs to cloud your judgment. And I think you said a few years ago what you said about Brett Kavanaugh, and I think you believe it. And I can't imagine what it's going to be like to be a litigant in front of you with that demonstration of lack of judicial temperament and judgment. How can a litigant possibly think that you're not going to act on personal beliefs if you were so intemperate to say something like this? Last question. Are you proud of the fact that Yale Law School has a quota system limiting the number of Asian Americans? Have you ever written a letter about that? Or does that not, where does that fit in your socioeconomic view of the world that you think everybody else should adopt and you will impose if you're in a position of power?
Senator, I'm not aware of any policy like that, but what I can assure you is that I have a track record.
You need to get out more.
I have a track record as a neutral adjudicator. I have decided cases for nearly 5 years impartially by applying the law as set forth in our statutes, our Constitution, and our precedents. And I have applied that law impartially. I have
You're the only
without
person in the
personal
Milky
bias.
Way who believes you're impartial.
Mr. Chairman,
I'm done, Mr. Chairman.
Well, yes, you are.
And this moment, this exact knife-edge last exchange in this hearing, is the kind of moment that only happens when a senator decides the euphemisms and the lawyered evasions and the nomination dance have gone on long enough. Senator John Kennedy places the nominee in a moral corner, not a partisan corner, a character corner. He takes the thing that exists plainly in the public record, the words she signed, the words she endorsed, not 20 years ago in college, but in recent adult professional life, and he calmly forces her to reconcile who she was when she said it, with who she claims she is now, when the pursuit of lifetime federal judicial power is on the line, and when she cannot give the simplest moral answer, when she cannot say, yes, I believe it, or no, I do not. Kennedy states out loud what half the country feels watching this. See, I don't believe you. That moment is the fulcrum, because it is the single greatest vulnerability in modern elite power culture. It is the collapse of personal responsibility. In this moment, the American people see how Washington's credential class attempts to have it both ways. They use moral absolutism when it serves their tribal political fight. They sign the letter when it builds status. They sign the letter when it flatters the moral superiority currency inside elite educational institutions. They sign the letter when they believe there is social gain and zero personal cost. But the second they want judicial authority, the second they want the black robe and lifetime federal power, the words suddenly were overheated rhetoric. The words suddenly were misunderstood. The words suddenly weren't really that serious. The words suddenly were just a private, internal advocacy inside the bubble of the alma mater. This is how power laundering happens in modern America. Moral absolutism when it is convenient. Moral relativism when accountability knocks on the door. This is why this moment matters. Because government cannot function, not in courts, not in justice, not in constitutional stewardship, if those who ascend to power possess two moral selves depending on whether the camera is on or off, whether the nomination is pending or not pending, whether the status benefit outweighs the cost. This hearing exposed something terrifying and true about the judiciary pipeline in America. The credential class believes their own private ideological rage is risk-free until the day their own words finally matter. Senator Kennedy is not merely interrogating her over the content of one letter. He is putting the entire elite rhetorical culture of moral free signaling on national trial. Because what he is saying, what the American people are hearing, is this. If you are willing to call a sitting Supreme Court justice morally bankrupt publicly, if you are willing to predict death, human death, of Americans, as political argument, not inside a college protest courtyard, but as an accomplished attorney, then you are revealing the operating system of your moral judgment itself. And if you truly believe those words then, Kennedy reveals, you likely still believe them now. Because normal, sober, rational, temperamentally controlled people Do not sign letters predicting human death as a political consequence simply because they want to tell their alma mater how virtuous and aligned they are. That is the deeper meaning. This was not a policy dispute. This was a test of integrity. And when she refused repeatedly to say clearly whether she still believes what she signed her name under, this hearing revealed why the public no longer trusts that the judiciary exists above the political storm. Kennedy was not bullying. Kennedy was not badgering. Kennedy was delivering the only legitimate accountability check left in a culture where words no longer have consequence until someone forces them to. This hearing is the cinematic moment where the moral stakes of judicial confirmation become visible to the entire country. Because a judge cannot have two moral lives. A judge cannot be one person in private ideological comfort and a different person when under oath. A judge cannot have flexible conviction based on convenience. A judge must possess one moral center. The Senate is not merely confirming resumes. It is confirming moral philosophy. And this moment, this exchange, crystallizes why the American people are suspicious of elite ideological pipelines that manufacture moral absolutists when it comes to destroying their political opponents, and moral amnesiacs when under oath. This is not partisan. This is not culture war. This is the survival of impartial justice itself. This channel, Liberty Congress of USA, exists to expose this, to capture these hearings without distortion, to show the American people what the cameras saw and heard and what it means. Because this era, right now, is the era where the future of judicial legitimacy is on the line. If words have no weight, then law has no weight. If moral claims have no accountability, then constitutional authority becomes performance art. If judges are allowed to treat their own statements as disposable partisan marketing assets, then no litigant can ever trust that the courtroom is neutral territory. This is the frontier. This is the battle line. This is the moral war for the soul of the Republic. If you value truth, if you value real oversight, if you value the exposure of these moments, subscribe to Liberty Congress of USA.